President Biden is going big right now, $1.8 trillion big on a new bill to reshape the lives of American working families, a plan that would include paid family leave, something my next guest has been pushing Congress for years. This after learning the U.S. is the only industrialized country that does not mandate it. And after he became a dad. Alexis Ohanian loves his daughter, and he loves all of the time he had off of work to be with her after his wife gave birth. Just check out his Instagram back then. He writes, "Dad, life is the greatest." And then there's this one. Out of office, this is parental leave life. She's clearly dreaming up all the startups she'll start and grand slams she'll win. That, of course, a nod to his powerhouse, power mom wife, Serena Williams. Alexis Ohanian is the founder of 776 and co-founder of Reddit. Thank you. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Poppy. Very excited to be here talking about this.
I remember a few years ago you wrote in the New York Times this piece making the push for it. And the first line was this: "When I was born in 1983, my father took a single day off work. He used a vacation day." Mine too. My dad, I think, took an afternoon off work in 82 when I was born, my mom tells me. But it was a different time, and it just was not accepted then. And now it's different. My husband took 3 months off when our son Luca was born. But you guys are the rarity. I mean, that's the thing, though. You love it, and I love it, but we are the rarity. Before we get into policy, can you explain personally why it mattered that you were there?
Yeah. Well, look, candidly, at the time, I was dog fooding our company policy at Reddit. Our VP of People and Culture, Caitlin Holloway, had crafted this great paid family leave plan. And I told her, look, sit me down with one of the folks on your team. I want to use this like any other employee. And, I set up my plan and I did it. And I really didn't think that much of it. And then, my wife and daughter had some pretty serious complications there during childbirth and emergency C-section. And, Serena was laid up for about the first month. And a lot of those child caretaking duties fell on me. And, certainly the first few days in the hospital were traumatizing, and that first month was definitely was intense. But the whole time I kept thinking, I have every advantage imaginable. We have so much going for us. We're so fortunate. And yet this is still such an intense and stressful experience. I could not imagine someone being in this situation, especially a father, especially of a first child, having to decide between their family and their career. Because there is no way you would have pulled me out of that hospital. There's no way you would have pulled me away from the home. Like, no chance I would have had gotten fired. But, I was a founder and that wasn't going to happen. But I realized every American deserved this right. Deserve this opportunity, especially if we believe that the family is the cornerstone of society, which it is. And it's been great in the last few years to see more and more momentum. And now, hearing the president talk about it, it's pretty exciting.
There's a lot of research that shows what it means beyond those first few months with your baby. Can you talk about the science behind being an equal caregiver to your child in those first 3 months? Longer, as much as you can be. I understand you can't breastfeed your baby, but you know what I mean. And what that does, and it helps close the wage gap for women.
Oh yeah, and then let's talk about this on a few levels, right? There's the health benefits, not just for the child, but also the mother, right? Because it's more emotional support, it's more physical support, it's more just chance to rest. There are so many factors that show that, especially fathers taking paternity leave, but just in general, paid family leave increases the health outcomes for all involved, which saves money economically, but then also increases productivity when we are back at work. And I think for men in particular, one of the reasons why this is so important is you're getting an opportunity not just to ensure the health and well-being of your family, which is most important, but also you're able to do better work when you are back in the office, because this idea of a work life and a home life being separate is a total farce. I think anyone who still believed that after now the pandemic knows these things bleed into one another. And more often than not, as was exposed during the pandemic, household responsibilities, family care responsibilities, more often than not tend to weigh on moms than dads. And look, it's not to say, I'm not going to prescribe what's right for every couple, but every couple should have the opportunity to find that balance for themselves and what works for them. And having an equal paid family policy is what's going to help us get there.
paid family is the key, not just for fathers, for same-sex couples. This applies to partners, for adoption, across the board. But it comes at a big price tag, Alexis. What the president proposed last night is $225 billion over a decade to give 12 weeks of paid leave to every working American. At Reddit, you guys paid for it. As a company, you pay for it. At CNN, they pay for it. We're lucky. Where do you fall on this? Should the taxpayer bear that burden? Should the taxpayer pay that bill, or should companies have to pay the bill?
Well, so right now there are a lot of progressive companies, and my new fund, 776, also has a 16-week paid leave policy. But I do think, we've seen time and time again government play a role in providing a kind of floor of sort of decency, of morality, of civility for every American. And I think when you look at the fact that 1 in 4 American women is back to work after giving birth 10 days afterwards, and this includes women who have C-sections, right? The idea that these women are exposing themselves to the intense reality of being back at work so soon after, giving birth is problematic for everyone involved, right? We talked about the increased healthcare risks and costs in doing so. We talk about the fact that if we can set up families for success, this will pay itself back, not just in healthcare savings, but also in increased efficiency and effectiveness of our workforce. And so I do think this is an area where this will pay for itself in the long run. And I mean, the fact that we're the last developed country to get on board with this is just one more example why, this is absolutely aligned with having a prospering economy.
Alexis, thank you. Thanks for standing up for a lot of us.
I'll tell you, it's one of the easiest things I could be advocating for, because it's just right.
We got to go. We're up against a commercial, but thank you. We'll talk again. And thanks to all.